In the golden age of television and film, few names commanded the effortless charm and rugged charisma of James Garner, a man whose on-screen presence defined an entire generation of American storytelling, from his wisecracking role in Maverick to the iconic private investigator Jim Rockford in The Rockford Files. He exuded a kind of natural warmth and approachability that made audiences fall in love with him, but behind the scenes, behind the Hollywood smiles and red carpet handshakes, not everyone who worked with Garner carried fond memories of the man who became a household name because in an industry fueled by competition, ego, and the politics of stardom, it wasn't uncommon for rivalries to simmer below the surface, some fizzling out with time, others igniting into lifelong bitterness. And among the most surprising of those under-the-radar conflicts was one that remained whispered about for decades, shielded from tabloids and brushed aside by studio executives, a feud that fans never saw coming, the utter hatred one respected actor held for James Garner, and though the reasons were buried beneath layers of gossip, studio politics, and personal wounds, the truth has only recently come to light. Decades after the cameras stopped rolling and the last curtain call had faded into silence, and now, as the accounts of former co-stars, personal letters, unpublished memoir drafts, and unearthed interviews begin to piece together a story that was once concealed by Hollywood's polished veneer, we come to understand that the animosity toward Garner was not born out of envy or petty misunderstanding, but out of a deep and complicated collision of values, ambition, betrayal, and silence. Because the man who harbored this hatred was not some fleeting guest star or bitter critic, he was someone who shared screen time with Garner, someone whose career was shaped in parallel to his, someone who believed he was pushed aside so Garner could rise, and while Garner himself carried a reputation for being professional, gracious, and even politically outspoken in favor of justice and fairness, the truth is that no public figure is free from contradiction, and behind closed doors, tensions festered as decisions were made, roles were recast, scenes were rewritten, and friendships were strained to the point of rupture, and the man who bore this grudge, whose name once graced movie posters and television credits with equal weight, felt that Garner had crossed a line, not just once but repeatedly, in ways that were both subtle and searing, underhanded contract negotiations, backchannel studio influence, and most painfully, a personal betrayal that cut deeper than any career slight. For this was not merely a story of professional jealousy, but of broken trust, as these two men, once thought to be colleagues on equal footing, became locked in a silent war of glances, cold shoulders, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering that would shape the trajectory of their lives, and while the exact origins of the feud have remained obscured by time and Hollywood's protective PR machinery, one pivotal moment is now believed to be the spark during the production of a mid-60s Western ensemble film, where both actors were cast as co-leads, equal in billing and ostensibly equal in influence, but as the shoot progressed, it became clear that the script was being quietly rewritten to favor Garner's character, giving him the lion's share of emotionally resonant scenes, climactic showdowns, and character depth, while the other role was increasingly reduced to comedic relief or second fiddle, and though the official line from producers was that it was a natural evolution of the story, insiders have since revealed that Garner, through his agent and longtime studio relationships, had insisted on changes that would enhance his appeal to audiences and solidify his box office dominance, and while that might have been smart business, it left the other actor feeling humiliated, expendable, and worst of all, used, because up to that point, they had shared mutual respect, even friendship, and the betrayal wasn't just about lines cut or camera angles changed, it was about feeling like someone you trusted had quietly undermined you for their own gain. And when the film was finally released, the reviews echoed what the betrayed actor had feared. Critics hailed Garner's performance as magnetic and soulful, while barely mentioning his co-star, and from that moment on, the relationship between the two disintegrated entirely, with cold professionalism replacing camaraderie, passive-aggressive interviews replacing shared press tours, and most significantly, a behind-the-scenes whisper campaign that led to one of them being blacklisted from future projects where the other held sway. And though James Garner continued to rise, his detractors saw doors quietly close, offers evaporate, and the humiliating realization set in that the industry often sided with the bigger star, no matter the personal cost, and so the hatred deepened, quiet and corrosive, and yet it remained largely unknown to the public because both men, consummate professionals in their own right, never aired their grievances in tabloids or interviews. Garner With his laconic charm, always sidestepped conflict, while his rival simmered in silence, only occasionally hinting at the betrayal in cryptic remarks that most reporters never connected to Garner, but behind the scenes, the grudge remained active, influencing casting decisions, press events, even seating arrangements at Hollywood galas, where the two were known to avoid one another at all costs. And while some colleagues tried to mend fences, suggesting that the bad blood was a misunderstanding or the natural friction of two strong personalities, those closest to the story knew better. They knew that the wounded pride and deep sense of betrayal had never healed, and that while Garner's public image remained untarnished, the truth was that he had made choices, whether knowingly or not, that crushed a peer's career and trust. And now, as more letters and unpublished reflections from the unnamed actor's estate are released posthumously, the depth of the hurt is finally being revealed, not out of revenge, but as a reckoning, a chance to see past the Hollywood polish and into the messy, painful, all-too-human dynamics that shape the lives of those who entertained millions. And so we are left with a complicated portrait of James Garner, not as a villain, but as a man who, like so many in Hollywood, made compromises, played the game, and in doing so, left scars on those around him. And while his legacy as a beloved actor endures, so too does the echo of a rivalry that reminds us that in the world of fame and facades, truth is rarely simple, and even the most charming stars can cast long shadows behind the scenes.